Can anyone see my screen?
Yeah, yeah, we can see it.
Okay. So today we are going to talk a little bit about artificial intelligence and machine learning. So yeah. So this I like to do a little introduction. This is me, and this is where I mostly grew up. It's Kibera slums. It's one of the largest slums in Africa. So I grew up here, and then that's just my title, um, which is, as you can see, I'm a machine learning engineer, software engineer. I am also an electrical electronics engineer from JKUAT. I am a student at Carnegie Mellon University, Africa. I'm pursuing my master's in engineering artificial intelligence due to graduate in May 2025. Of course, I'm Kenyan. I am a mother. I'm a partner. I mentor. I volunteer a lot in underserved and underprivileged communities. That's a fancy way of saying in, places where the resources are restrained or from poor resourced areas, basically slum areas, places where you go to the remote sides of Kenya. And I'm also a Mastercard scholar for 2023. So basically, if someone asks you what is artificial intelligence, the what can you actually say what artificial intelligence is? Uh, so artificial intelligence or AI is one of those things that it's artificial. So we get that there's the human intelligence, you and I, we're human beings. We are born with the intellect. We are born with so many brain cells and neurons in our brain, and we get to use it either by doing art or STEM or whatever you want to use it. But artificial intelligence is the thing that is not human, so it's artificial. And then there's this speech of people getting sentient. I don't know if you are aware of the sentient being or artificial intelligence sentient. Let me just type. Sentient is gaining consciousness, like an artificial intelligence being aware of itself. That because humans, we are aware that, hey, I'm breathing now, I need to go eat, I need to go speak to my friends. That is the consciousness. That is not yet there for artificial intelligence, and technologies are presuming there will be like a singularity. That's a different topic for another day, where artificial intelligence will merge and have like a human 5.0. But again, that's not the topic for today. So AI is basically a technology where we will have machines that mimic human intelligence. And when they mimic human intelligence, it means they can be able to solve problems. For example, the way I'm talking right now. So you'll find machines that are able to do speech, which is called natural language understanding, natural language processing. They can process speech and they can understand. So natural language processing, natural language understanding. They can be able to visualize, draw. Maybe I don't know if any of you has used Mid Journey before. It's an AI prompt you put in. I'm like, hey, I need a photo of a cat in Embo. I don't know, digging something, and then Mid Journey will come up with this fancy way of that cat being in Embo, maybe drawing, or I don't know, maybe digging or farming. So AI is those the machines that are trying to mimic what human beings do, and they tried that using language, like I said, language, natural language processing, natural language understanding. They do that by problem solving. I don't know if you've been aware of, maybe, for example, Anne, and I can only see a few of you in this, so I'll just be randomly calling people. And I know Eric that there are AI that have been able to, what is it called, to beat human beings at maybe the game of Go or puzzle or any other game that human beings do, given the game of chess. So yeah, those are one of those examples of AI. So just AI is something that mimics human intelligence. So machine learning, which we usually just say as AI, sorry, as ML is it's a domain within AI, and it defines that if you have computer algorithms, how do those computers learn? It's learning. You remember how when we were kids, you were able to learn a book, wherever up to Z, and then you're able to make those words into one so that you can have your language, or maybe your math skill. So these are machines that they're able to learn. So it's a subset of AI. So how are they able to learn? Through computer algorithms, through experience, data utilization, and all that. So you find that ML is being able to be deployed anywhere, and it does make some decisions. Yeah, it does make some decisions which we look at, and these algorithms are basically, they are engineered to enhance the efficiency, accuracy, and effectiveness within time that they have been trained. So here, so this is what I was telling you about. So we have AI. Um, so we have AI, which is, you have this whole like big circle, and then into it we have machine learning, and then deeper we have neural networks. I don't know if you can see these other photo. It's not like clear. And then that deep inside, we have deep learning. Deep learning, we can have convolutional neural networks, being as CNN, GAN, which is generative adversarial networks, RNN is reinforced learning, and deep Bayesian learning, BN, deep BN. So it's just it's like someone who is, for example, in computer science, and then they want to be full stack or front end or back end, or you are narrowing down to whatever you want to use. That's like AI, then machine learning, neural networks and stuff, and you go like that. So when we actually talk about AI, you'll see that if it's artificial intelligence, so we go back to machine learning. If it's machine learning and it has like a feature, like you have some data sets and features. So what do I mean? For example, you want to say, okay, how many dogs can I identify? Okay, human beings can look at a dog. I'm like, yeah, that's German Shepherd, that's Chihuahua, that's whatever breeds of dogs we have. But for a machine learning is like a machine that is trying to mimic the human intelligence, trying to solve problems using learned experiences and data. Learned experiences, it means it has to experience that for the first time, the second time, like that, and then it learns. So when you have a data, maybe it's data of, you are trying to group or label dogs. So you have this feature. Features are like, oh, this is the dog's eye. So in Chihuahua, the dog's eye are, I don't know how. Maybe the height Chihuahua are small, German Shepherd are big, or they're muscular and stuff like that. Those are features. Those are things that can categorically identify, like for example, a dog, right? So those are features, and then you have this algorithm, which we will talk about. So when you have a data and then these features that, for example, if it's in a dog, you're trying to identify based on these features, are they dog, is this a Chihuahua or a German Shepherd? For example, if it's a flower, is this versicolor or virginica or setosa? It's one of those types of flowers. If it's, for example, if you have faces of Kenyans, will you be able to, Kenyans and East African citizens basically, will you be able to identify this is a Rwandan, this is a Kenyan, this is an Ethiopian, this is a Burundian? They are features, right? So we have those algorithms that comes to supervised learning, semi-supervised learning, and supervised learning, then reinforced learning. Then after that, we have like artificial neural networks. Again, it's artificial, right? So everything else is artificial. So a neural network, we have so many neural pathways in our brain. Um, I'm presuming we kind of took a little bit of biology before maybe we drop biology, but you understand, like a neural has like this, in my biology class, the lecturer will use to draw dendrite and stuff. Like it's very fancy of a picture of a neuron. Like this is where the information get fed in. This is the information passing through the brain. Then it goes to your nervous system and your legs and all that. Like so, we have neurons. So because machines are trying to learn, then artificial, so there is the artificial neural networks, and then we have all those neural networks that I was talking about there, where it's recurrent, either it's recurrent neural network, deep neural network, multi-layer, stuff like that. So all this image will just tell you the overview of machine learning. So again, you'll be masking. You're just throwing words here. What is those machine learning types? So we have supervised learning, unsupervised learning, reinforcement learning, and generative AI. So I will just border on one. So unsupervised learning is okay. So you we have a machine learning model. When I say a model, is basically an algorithm that we say, okay, I want you to identify out of these pictures what is a cat, what is not a cat, or what is a flower, what's not a flower, or out of these features what is a shoe and what looks like a cupcake. But you've not labeled, you've not said, oh, okay, so you as a model, this is what a shoe looks like, and then you label it like shoe, and then you say not shoe. Dog, or maybe chihuahua, not chihuahua. That is labeling. When you don't have labeling in data, it's called unsupervised learning, because, well, the algorithm is basically trying to find different structures, different clusters, and it's trying to learn on its own, be like, okay, so after this so many data, then I think this is a dog with maybe 0.89 accuracy or zero point 0.9 accuracy and stuff like that. So that is supervised learning. So that's unsupervised. So supervised learning is, like I've defined here, is the models acquire the ability to make predictions by successfully analyzing data paired with accurate responses. So what that long word is like, so supervised learning is like, hey, this is a machine learning model. Look, this is a photo of a cat, and this is how a cat looks like. This is a photo of a shoe, and with that, these are the features of a shoe. Maybe its shoe size 10 or 5, depending on the shoe size. Or this is a photo of a flower, and this type of flower is setosa. Setosa looks, has this petal width, petal length. This is virginica. And this other one is maybe a different type of flower. When you give a machine learning model that information that has labels, we call that a supervised learning. You've already given the machine learning the labels, the data, that, like, there's that known correct outcomes that is there, so that when you feed in for photos of shoes or photos of cats, because it has this, because the model has this knowledge, so yeah, that is a shoe, that is a cat. That's supervised learning. But unsupervised, no, unsupervised is different. And if supervised, we do not give the model any label. We just like, hey, you figure out the hidden patterns on this, and then tell us what we'll decide to do with them. Okay, so there's the other type, it's called reinforced learning. So here is there are penalties and rewards. So how do I explain this? I'll revert to the dog part. There's an experiment that some scientists did. So he will ring a bell. So the experiment goes like this. There's a time t that they will ring a bell to the dog, and then they'll bring out cookies and food. And then, so this scientist did that several times. Within 1 week, when the dog heard the ringing of the bell, it knew that, hey, there's food on the way, that there are like snacks and stuff on the way. So that is like a reward. A reward, like when you do something, I reward you. I reward you to do. And when you do something bad, I penalize you. For example, if you get the correct answers on an exam, you're rewarded with the full marks. If you don't, then you are kind of penalized, because sometimes you get negative. Yeah, our lecturers at GCOT were crazy. I don't know if at Embu University you get like negative 10 or something, but you get a zero, or maybe, I don't know, maybe 1 out of 10. That's a penalty. So in reinforced learning, it's basically about rewards and penalties. A model does well, it gives a reward. When a model does, like, it classifies, maybe you are classifying a dog, and then this is a shoe, you penalize it. You'll be like, no, 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 that that's not correct. Yeah. So yeah, we were not supposed to retake this thing. Hey, no, don't give me. I graduated in 2021. I don't want to go back to JK. You want to do a bachelor's again? No, that was brutal. So we come back to generative AI. So generative AI is basically, you have models. I think you've heard about this. You have models that will produce content based on a user's input. um, and we do have okay, Eric, and we do have stuff like, you can have text to text, text to video, text to speech, all those. I'll give an example of Mid Journey. There's other generative AI tools. There's ChatGPT from Microsoft. There's Gemini. I don't know if you guys have tried with Gemini, but I'll show you how later how that works for generative AI. Gemini is from Google. And then there's from Hugging Face, there's Hugging Face Chat. And then there's also cloud. There's a lot of AI, generative AI tools. So it means they have been trained with a lot of data and targets, like you said, features, and they're able to quickly identify when someone maybe uh, they type in, let me look for a different name. Okay. When someone types in, hey, there is this formula in math, and it's maybe it's about Pythagoras theorem, and they need to find this, the generative AI model will be like, I think the user is trying to ask this, so I should prepare this. And then as soon as you hit send, within milliseconds you get an answer, because these generative tools have been trained on billions of variables and data, like 73 billion for Llama. ChatGPT, I don't know how long that took, but for Gemini, it was about 60 billion parameters and above. So it just depends. So again, just going back so that you don't lose the flow, these machine learning types, we have supervised learning, where you give the model the label, like, hey, this is a dog, this is how a dog or a chihuahua looks like, this is a shoe. And then you give it images that are not labeled. I'm like, is this a shoe, is this a dog, is this a person? I'm like, yeah, they need to learn. And supervisor is like, hey, this is the data, and you go figure out how this data is. Give me something, classify this data for me. Try to find some hidden patterns. That is unsupervised. Like, you go do you, and then you come back with the results. Reinforced learning is about penalty. Remember the dog with the bell, right? Penalty and rewards. And generative AI is, of course, what I've just explained. um so I will talk a little bit about responsible AI before I open it up to people. So responsible AI is about it's like, of course, we have AI, artificial intelligence, and then we have people. There always be people who are bad actors in computer science. I think elsewhere we call them bad actors. They are not playing ball, playing like the way they're supposed to. So they're using this AI to maybe you know amplify whatever is going on in the world, maybe trying to penalize a type of people. For example, I don't know if you've heard about Dr. Joy Bulo Lawani. She's Ghanaian, so her name, the second name is really like, yeah, it's a, sometimes I struggle to pronounce it. But Dr. Joy came up with Unmask AI. I don't know. There's a book, she just like does this, like Unmask AI. Then she like the mask is white, and then her face is black. And she graduated from, is it MIT? And then her thesis was about the unmasking of AI, where imagine you have tools. I'm not saying we'll go to court, but imagining a scenario where you're in court, and then the judge is using an AI to determine how how long you're gonna, maybe serve in prison. And then the AI says, okay, Delphine, you're black. Okay, so probably gets 20 years because, hey, you're black and you'll be a repetitive offender. Oh, or maybe Delphine, you're white. I'll give you 5 years. And then the judge, gives, and those are people's lives. So there was that not fairness part of it. And for example, when you go to a loan, when you go to a bank, you're trying to get a loan, and this AI used, and that AI was again trained on biased data. That biased data means, okay, let me put it in concept. For example, imagine if a model that is trained in Embu for Embu residents only to be used within Embu, and there is no transfer learning is, okay, this model is trained in Embu, but I want to use it in Kisii. Can I get Kisii residents data and retrain the model that was trained in Embu so that it can learn what Kisii residents are, or maybe Nakuru or Kisumu or Nairobi? But you take that model that was trained on Embu with Embu data and everything else, you run it in Nairobi, which is very different. Like Nairobi is the capital city, it has all these people, right? All these different whatever that goes on in Nairobi. And then you're like, yeah, it will probably do well. Of course, it will make errors because the data that it was trained on is different. It's of Embu residents. Maybe Embu is maybe one tribe or two tribes. And then you bring it to Nairobi, where it's the melting pot of all the Kenyans, 43 tribes of us who are living there. And then you're trying. So, of course, the model will bias towards the two tribes that it was trained on in Embu, the one tribe, and then it will penalize the other tribes, for example. So, that is what is happening in responsible AI. Like, you're finding models that were trained on particular data set being applied general, and it is affecting people. So that is where responsible AI comes in. Responsible AI is about fairness, interpretability, privacy, and security. So I want us to discuss something here, which I will open the floor for. So, as a student, as a student right now, or as an undergraduate, or someone who is, if you're not a student, but someone who is also working, how do you view AI? Just a general question. How do you view AI? Do you think AI is coming for your job or your internship when you graduate? Have you heard about Devin? Devin is this software developer with AI. Like, I need people to discuss, what do you think about it? And are you scared? Are you like, yeah, let's discuss first. Who is Sora? Okay, I don't. Okay, GDC Embu. Okay, that's the name of the question. Okay. So, I don't know if you remember some times ago where there was this whole ChatGPT saga with OpenAI. OpenAI is like, of course, Microsoft bought like 28%, but 2% still remains to OpenAI. I don't know if you remember that fellow Kenyans were being paid 200 shillings a day. It's not even a dollar. Is that 2 cents? Because a dollar right now is 130. It's $1.30 per day for them to label data. Labeled data, they will go, and that is what ChatGPT has been trained on, basically. But they had an office in Kenya. It was a whole news. I don't know if you guys maybe saw it somewhere, and maybe saw the discussions around software on that. But people like us, Kenyans, were being forced to watch, like, pornography and rape and child abuse and stuff like that, and label it for the machine learning model to be able to identify, like, hey, this is sex on a minor, so this is bad, this is violence. And they were in the US, that job will be like $50 an hour. An hour, that's like 5,000, is it 5,000 Kenya shillings an hour? But they came to Kenya, they got the most vulnerable people who are in the slums and people who are trying to make their ends meet, and they put them in a room and they told them to label for 200 shillings an hour. Not an hour, no, sorry, a day. I don't know if you saw that. It was a whole thing. So imagine this is where we are headed to. So how do you protect your own? More specifically, how do you speak for those people whom decisions are being made for on their behalf? They're not in the room whatsoever. They're not, absolutely, but decisions are being made on their behalf, and it will affect them, especially those, leave alone middle class. They are doing okay. They are probably landed, their children are in university and stuff. I'm talking about the poor people, the people in the slums, the people who are in the ushago, like they are in the upcountry and they're trying to just make end meet. Imagine them, and AI used for them, and then how are they, trying to survive? Let's have that discussion. Please unmute and ask a question. I don't want to read. I want also to hear some people's. So, Anne, unmute yourself and ask a question. And would you like to comment? I want to hear your voice too. So Anne is saying that AI is here to help us, not to take our jobs. That's what she believes. Yeah, it can take an information, like say an Excel task. It will only guide you on how to do it, but it can't really do it, especially the complex task. Um, yeah, and you are partially right about that. The first bit, AI can is not here to take jobs, but it is it, it's here to make life easier. Let me explain. So there's this concept of, it's a quote by one of the professors here at CMU Africa. The quote goes, "Human plus AI outperforms either alone." For example, an AI itself trying to do task by itself, and supervised learning, supervised and enforced learning, wherever, and a human by themselves trying to do task by themselves, then you have an AI and a human together. Those, if they are together, they will outperform either of those alone. I will say it again. AI plus human outperforms either alone. So, like people says, it's people who are skilled and versed in AI that will replace the other people who are not willing to incorporate and learn AI to use in their daily jobs. Okay, so I'll give you an example. Okay, I'm a machine learning engineer. I will want, of course, to apply AI in electrical field to maybe predict blackouts. Like I had Kenya, was it yesterday and still today, there was a national blackout. I don't know why, like, but you can use AI through convolutional neural networks, artificial neural networks, AN, CNN to actually predict that. But by itself, it's a tool, right? But you need the human to be like, hey, yes, this is the direction. Let me give you an example. Imagine, will you be comfortable as a human to go to a ward? Of course, you are unconscious, but before you go in, they say, oh, by the way, an AI will operate on you. And then the other one, and then they were given option, an AI alongside a doctor will operate on you. Which will you be more confident? Because if you ask me, I'll be more confident with both, because I'll know there's that precision, there's that precision that comes with using AI, because maybe it's able to calculate the risk at real time and be able to read and grab images and even if they're blurry, and gets me the information that I want. But I also know that the doctor will be there in case the AI be like, hey, I'll need to remove this tumor through the patient's eye. I'm like, no, that's the eye side. Let's do it from the other side. Like there's that balance but not them totally not be in the loop. Um, I'll follow that up with the um, I am a Spark Academy member. that's that's probably don't know about it, but it's basically it's print AI training for Africa. It's they're trying to get the machine learning engineers, people in academia like me, and researchers and doctors, clinicians, radiologists, trying to put us together so that we can work in healthcare. So currently my team, we are 13 members. Four are doctors. Like one is a doctor of philosophy, like he got his PhD in like something else. He's not a medical doctor, but he's a doctor. Three others are medical doctors. They are practicing medical doctors. And you know what we are doing right now? We're trying to leverage machine learning with the various images that we get, so that with that the data set of images from East African community, ESC community, I don't know even the anthem how it goes, but the ESC community, and especially from Rwanda, we are getting those images, and then we are feeding them through artificial, like too much machine learning model, and that model will be like, I think people from this sector, I live in Kigali, Gasabo district. So I think people in Gasabo district are prone to having brain tumors. Or I think people from Kibera slum or from Embu or from Kisii that have the symptoms are likely to have brain tumors. So they should be advised to seek medical help before it gets bad. You know, imagine that's the project my team and I are working on. We are researchers, academicians, but we're working with the doctors, like doctors who are treating patients, but we're trying to build that gap. So we are using AI as a tool to make our life easier, like you said it, but we are leveraging AI on the thing that AI can do complex tasks. It is very good at complex tasks. And so imagine if you have brain tumor, instead of subjecting um, a patient through MRIs, magnetic radio imaging, then you have to do all these scans. You can just do one, and then you feed that information to an AI, then like a machine learning model, and then it turns out, I'm like, I think this person has symptoms here, 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 and here, and that means there will be more churn out of. Instead of you waiting on the line, waiting for 2 months for your diagnosis, you can be diagnosed in 3 days and you can get your treatment. That's AI and human working together because they perform either alone. Um, Maybe our government should be involved in regulating. Okay, that's a policy issue. Yes, that's a policy issue. That is why we need more people, more people who are advocating for AI and policy, like the Google student developer student club in Embu, advocating for like how do we get as many of our faces, as many as people who look like us, who have our lived experiences to those tables of decision making. For example, when you go to a company and you're writing code, and maybe it's a code that would not only be used in Kigali, sorry, in Nairobi, but maybe in, I don't know, Eldoret or Kisumu or Mombasa, then you should just ask questions like to your supervisor in a nice way, without being like, a pain to the person. But like, okay, so what happens if this data is being applied to elsewhere? I'll give you an example. I used to work at Sandy before they got acquired. Sandy is like a logistic company moving things from point A to point B. And then I was working with the research and development department is R&D. And we are tasked, me and my supervisor, of course, we were tasked to develop a machine learning model to predict loans. I don't know if any of us have gone through Google Play Store, and then when you're broke, then you're like, yeah, let me download Branch or whatever, the loan apps, and then you'll download them on your phone, and then they will ask you these questions, right? That when they ask you these questions, you'll have like, oh, what's your name? What's your age? Which high school did you go? And then you're like, why are these questions? And then at the end, you'll be like, you only got 500, Kenya shillings as your loan. Those are called, they are trying to get the features. And then once you input them, collect them, it's being sent to a model. That model is trained with this data and returns an accuracy. If the accuracy is like 0.8, it says like, oh, there's 80% chance that if you give Delphine a loan of 1,000 Kenya shillings, she'll return, or 90 or 0.9 accuracy. Like there's that confident. Or if it runs like 0.4, then they'll be like, no, unfortunately, you're not qualified for a loan. Maybe try again next time. But they don't want to tell you that it's an AI that has made that decision for you, eh, to do that. So when I was at saying this, so we were trying to have a predictive machine learning model for our loan product, where the customers will come in, like our customers will get some loan, and then they will go do the logistics, and then at the end of the time they'll come and get the and give the money back. You know how loans work, like you give you a loan and then there's that percentage that I put on top and then stuff like that. So when I actually looked at that, I was like, hey, my supervisor, will you please include more people? I didn't see people who are from low sourced income areas. I didn't see someone who is, maybe earning 1,000 a day, and then they are trying to raise a family, because according to that algorithm, they will not they will not get a loan. So it was the whole this back and forth. And then eventually we got the whole data that we required, that was inclusive of the rich people, the middle class, and the other poor people, if you may, but they are underserved communities, these underserved communities. That way, the model, whatever you input, it will not penalize you because you say you live in, I don't know, Eldoret or in Nairobi. It will just calculate what you want at that time. So that's why I'm saying you don't have to be in a position of like ruling like the president of Kenya, but in whatever position you are as a software engineer, ask those right questions. Like, is this data inclusive? Have we included everyone? Is this model trying, is this model trying to include, is it will only to be applied in Embu but also in Nairobi? If it's in being applied in Nairobi, will we do transfer learning to be able to train this model with the Nairobi data so that it's not biased and stuff like that? So yes, I actually agree. But yeah, it happens. We try to make noise online, but yeah, it happens. Ethical AI is just, is it it's about ethics. Is the human, because for example, when you say ethics, it depends from society to society. For example, in the CMU Africa is an American university, so at CMU Africa we believe in like people can exist how they are, wherever they are, regardless of their sexual orientation. If I come out and be like, hey, my pronouns are she, her, them, or maybe she, her, hers, or like whatever my pronouns are, or how I identify, or my sexual orientation, no one in CMU Africa is going to be like, look at her. No, that's the ethics side. Like that is what a society like an American society views. Like the Kenyan society, on the other hand, is different, right? It will view people who say, please prefer to my pronouns as she, her, or identify as this is my sexual orientation. It depends. So on the topics of ethics is, when you're building your model, what are those values that are cherished by where that model is being built, for instance, right? So if it's built for Kenyans, right, what ethics are cutting across the Muslim, the atheist, the agnostics, the Christian, the Buddhist, and all the religions in Kenya, that cast across them, so that it is not biased towards Muslim, or it is not biased towards Christian or Buddhist or atheist or all that types of religion, right? So what are those cut across that are like value? I'm like, yeah, people don't kill their neighbors. That's like an important role. Like, yeah, we get that, that those ethics and rights. It's like a child. They need to be named. You can't just like have a child and then not name them. There's a right to name, like they have to be named. You can't call a child it, you have to name. So there are those values that are within a society where you're building for. So you'll find You find fellow Kenyans who are in Kenya, but they're working for European and US companies. And when you find them, you'll see that, for example, in a form, or maybe if you ever receive a form for me for registering to an event, I will always be like, hey, what's your name? What do you identify as? And then I'll put male, female, non-binary, other, select, right? Because that is the context I'm coming from. Coming like, this is American university, this is how we do things. But now if I'm in from Kenya, I'll just say, hey, male, female, and then select one. But if I'm a Kenyan but working for an international organization, I'll say male, female, non-binary, other. What are your pronouns? She, her, hers, them, other, like specify like that, because it depends on your context, that context where you are. So the ethics that are cherished, for example, in Embu are not maybe cherished in Kisii, or the ethics that are cherished in Kenya may not necessarily be cherished in Rwanda. That's why the models are very location specific. So how you define them in your models, and remember, models are data. You get the right data that is inclusive of everyone else, then you build machine learning models on them, then you get a very good model. You get an ethical and responsible AI that is inclusive and that does not amplify whatever is existing. For example, that does not amplify whatever is existing in the society, but like drowns it. Yeah. Oh yeah, I agree with you, Eric. Yeah, there are really good research that can be done by AI, like you said, the AlphaFold on proteins and precision medicine. Yeah, like that. Like those are the things where we say human plus AI performs either alone. You have like experts in their fields, and then you include artificial intelligence, and then the expert will be like, I think, yeah, here the model is good, here I think it made a mistake, then you are able to correct that. It would be nice for someone to unmute themselves and then just answer me. Are we scared for our jobs? Have you heard about Devin, the software developer, the AI software developer? Has anyone heard about it? Why are people
Heard
not
about it.
muting? Yeah, tell me, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, from my recent understanding, I've heard that it was a rumor. There is nothing like David.
Yes, you have heard about it.
Wait, it was a rumor. Are you sure?
I'm not sure about it, but from the rumors I'm getting,
Okay, let me share this stat instead. And as a software person or someone in STEM, you should totally be researching. It's not. It was introduced on 12th March. It's a it's a fast AI software engineer. It's fully autonomous. Let me just share this link. It was developed by Cognition Labs, so it is here to stay. I will share. So, you imagine the capabilities of Devin. It trains AI, trains on AI, so it fine tunes its own models and does like GitHub and stuff. It addresses bugs and feature requests. It contributes to production. Like it's basically it's a software engineer without the human part. That's what I'm trying. That's the word I'm trying to conjure. Like, yeah, it's a very interesting time we live in. Um, what I want to come put across is that we don't have to be scared about what AI will do. Just use AI as a tool. Use AI together. For example, if you plan to become a doctor, use AI alongside you. You have to you're doing law. Imagine if Of course, with the data and privacy law in Kenya, with the Office of Data Protection or DPC, alongside that, with the data processor, data controller, you are able, imagine you have like 1,000 clients, and then every time you have to go through your files. I'm like, how is this again? What did they do? Imagine feeding that on your localized large language model, for instance, that's called either federated learning or RAG, system retrieval argumentative model. So it's basically you have this large language model, and then you have this subset, very knowledge specific. You feed it with the data you need, and then it will just churn out data that is just very specific according to your case. So imagine you're a lawyer, and then you feed this. Again, I've said the privacy issue. You have to host it. There's a whole regulation for Europe, the data privacy, and the US, Kenya. Yeah, we'll get there. There's still no AI policy, like AI policy on data and stuff like that. Even the president himself said that during the Connected Africa Summit that happened last month. I was among the audience. So yeah, but we get there. So if we have those policies, then it will be easier for you to maneuver, basically. But and until that time, you just work hand in hand with the AI, and then you just do your job. For example, like the example I was giving you, lawyer, imagine you train it. Your one of the laws in Europe and the US is you have to host it in a cloud that, if you're, for example, in your New York, you host it in New York. You don't host it in like Texas. You host it in your local where you are. And then when you're tributing, you'll be like, hey, what did Anne do? And then it tells you, oh, Anne, the case will be seen on this. This is a whatever, or Delphine, she's going to court on this. This is what she did. Like, it's very fast without you thinking, like going to, even making suggestions like, hey, I think you could better defend Delphine like this, or person B like that. That is helping you as a human being. You're using AI together. You're not having AI by itself, because when you AI says draw an African person, it will draw. I actually it drew a baboon, and that was a big blunder. The AI was taken down. Was it that there was that AI that was developed? I can't remember by which company, but it was taken down really quick because it was very biased towards the black people. So AI alone, nah, it will not work. A human being alone, especially in this fourth industrial revolution, it might not probably work. You'll be replaced by individuals like yourself who are using AI. So it will not be actually the AI replacing, it's individuals who have embraced AI that are using it. So you have to do that, whether you are an artist, a lecturer, whatever path you choose to take. Yeah, basically.
Okay, excuse me.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're asking about Devin. So for me, I'm not scared, but I'm a bit concerned because you see, let's say people who are not experienced in programming, they don't have that problem solving skill. So even when it comes to using Devin, I don't think more they'll get better results than us who are experienced. But now the problem comes where there is the CEO to NVIDIA. He had said that they are working on making programming to be a skill that you use natural language, so people can program in English. So that's the concerning part. What's your take on that?
Yeah, that's a good question, Eric. And like I said, it's a very interesting time to be alive. I'm really excited for this time to be alive right now. It's okay. There are other avenues. You can use that. So imagine. So who will maintain? So these are generative models. Okay, like Devin and all that. The AI, the generative models, they need to be okay. What is this? I don't want to bore you with so much technical terms. They need to be validated. Like, yes, you say that this is what should go on my code. For example, I'm using Devin, but honestly, will I, for example, we are Kenya, right? Will Will the soldiers with the Kenya Defense Forces trust Devin to write a programming thing for them so that they can go deploy it in their military? Will that, that level of trust? Now you come with the trust about the ethical and responsible, but will they be like, how long is it? Oh yeah, AI will do it, or for maybe medical data, or for example, let's come to the money banks. With all this AI and stuff, have you seen how banks are rampantly hiring software engineers left and right? You will ask, why don't they just use AI? Like AI is there, why don't they? Because these are sensitive matters that requires a human being, human in the loop. You have a human being that is able, like there's a human reinforced feedback. Remember the reinforced learning, the penalty award? There's someone who will be like, hey, no, 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 you are wrong. And then will like not shut down, will be disable the AI or will put a hold of there and take over, right? As a human, you'll be like, no, this does not sound right. So we have that. So engineers, software engineers, whether they are coming up, for those who are experienced, they have to leverage AI in any way. They have to be prompt engineers. They have to learn how to validate models. They have to learn how to train an AI to train an AI. They have to learn all these new technologies to be able to identify, maybe, for example, an AI that is power hungry. Power hungry is AI that has, they have not reached sentient. Sentient is like consciousness. They're not aware of themselves, but they have been trying to have these attributes like humans, though they want to extinguish like the human race. Because if AI is added in the military, they'll just like automate the task, and you point missiles to any of us. If they're in medicine, they will maybe kill the doctors or whatever, do something. That's power hungry AI models. And for us to identify that, it means we have to have skilled human beings. Remember, this is artificial intelligence. We are the superior beings. We are homo sapiens, like, come on. So us as human beings, then we come and we be like the human on the loop will be on the supervisory role. The AI is doing all the work, but we are supervising in case, so that it does not being channeled to like medical data or bank or very sensitive key things, or even teaching. Maybe AI can be teaching things that are wrong. There should be a teacher there to correct and validate that data. So it means software engineers who are positioned themselves like that, those will survive, and be thrilling software engineers. The software engineers who are coming up, I would say, immerse in AI technologies. Try to see what is prompt engineering. Try to get your niche. For example, like what is it that you can do alongside the AI? Like yourself, what is that value add that you can add yourself? And then when you work with AI, it becomes way, way better. Once you identify that, you're good, regardless of what the other people do or say. Yeah. So unless there's any other question, I would like to end it there and say murakoze neza. It's Kinyarwanda for thank you. Thank you for listening and for attending and for engaging. In case you want to delve deeper into AI and machine learning, you can actually do so. There are very good courses on LinkedIn, Coursera, Udemy, and stuff like that. And should you want to do a master's in engineering AI, I will welcome you to CME Africa. The application for that is September this year. Just in case, I actually presented there are two students from this school in Kajiado. Now, oh dear, I've not been in Kenya for one year. I'm forgetting things. But there are like two schools from Kajiado. I went to present there physically before I came here to Kigali, and they have been admitted to do masters in engineering AI. So I'll be their teaching assistant next semester. I'll be like, hey, listen, The professor said this, so ask me questions that I will explain to you during office hour. So it is really nice. Oh, Jeremiah, I'm curious how you can reward and penalize AI yet it lacks human emotion. How will I recognize the rewards and penalties? Oh, that's a good question, Jeremiah. So the reward, yeah, because you cannot give AI food or stuff. So there's this feedback loop. Okay. Has anyone here done control engineering, control 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or even basic control engineering? Okay, I'll just, so like in control, there's like input, and then there's like this, the input is like a circle, then there's this rectangle, then output. So there are things that are being done here. Then once you have like input to output, that's a feed forward loop. I'm trying to remember the stuff. So that's a feed forward loop. And then if it goes well, we don't need a feedback loop, which is from the output to the input, so that is being edited, if you will, and then we have the correct output. So when you penalize an AI, is you're basically um, so for example, we have those inputs and outputs, right? I will take an example of an artificial neural networks, like your brain, but artificially. So this model, this input and output, this one is a black box of neurons, like when you cough, you don't remember, oh, okay, so there was command from my brain, then you went to my spine, then went here, and then I coughed. You don't, like, that's, you just coughed. Whatever happened before the coughing and the commands, that's like a blur, like it's done for you. So the input is, maybe these are the images of dogs. The output is like, hey, is this a dog, or this is a shoe? Is this a cat? So in between here are neural networks, artificial neural networks. They are doing like the weights. They are trying comparing. Oh, so a Chihuahua is short, a German Shepherd is like huge and muscles. This one is like, those are the features that are being computed. So they're called weighted features. And then if this weight is maybe 0.7, the other is 0.3, the other is 0.1, then the artificial neural network will vote for this 0.7, will say, I have, with the voting of 0.78, I think this is a shoe, or this is a dog, and it's a Chihuahua. And if that dog is not a Chihuahua, we penalize it. We penalize it by looping it back, by saying no in like a machine learning model way, where you say no and you deny that whatever workings of this weight was wrong, so you redo it again, so you don't move forward. So the no is like, don't move forward to any other task, concentrate on this, we're penalizing you. It's like a for loop. When you break, you say no, I'm done, or if else, if this is true, execute that, otherwise, do this, because you've not, there's this ternary input that you've not satisfied. That's the penalty. The reward is like, oh, you actually classified the dog well. Okay, good, move ahead. Here is another image, can you classify? So we are not giving the models emotions, we're just penalizing them with weights and algorithms that they understand. So that's the penalty and the reward system. Performance metrics, accuracy, and I reward it kind of, because the accuracy always comes back as the output, actually. So you have this, it's like, again, I will go to the example of the dog, because that's what we have been talking about. So you have this, and it has an accuracy of 0.98. Then it says, for every 100 images I see, I'm 98% sure that it's a cat, and the 2% I'm not sure that it's not. So, and it will have to communicate that to the user, for example, if it's being used for other things. And for example, 98% cannot cut it in medicine. We need like 99.99. We need the third standard deviation, because you can't be saying we're sending two people home saying they are sick and they are not sick. you know if we send two people home and say they are not sick, but they are sick, oh dear, that is like, oh, that's a brutal mistake. That's like we should be penalized, someone should be hanged or something. No, we don't do that. But if we send people home telling them they are sick but they're not, like I'm like, hey, you I don't know, you have TB but they don't have TB. That is some, I'm not saying it's good, but it's acceptable. Then you send someone home like, you don't have TB, and then after 2 weeks they come back, they are in stage, I don't know, 4, and then they are all dying, you see. So again, with your question, Judith, it actually depends on where that is being applied, you know. It depends on where it's being applied. So sometimes it can be used as a reward, but most times we just use weights and accumulated weights for that, and you have to specify it. And for us to achieve this, you I don't know if you know about, um you can do like a random matrix, a confusion matrix. You just like the model has learned this, then you just come and do some confusion matrix to confuse the model to see if it will still say this is a cat, this is a dog, or for example, for instance, in the case of a loan, like this person should be given a loan, this person should not be given a loan, and stuff like that. Yeah. That's actually a good question. There's a whole topic on penalties and awards actually. Yeah, so that, I think that is it. Eric, I will hand it back to you.
Okay, thank you. I don't know. Is there anyone else who has a question? Don't want to leave anyone out. Okay, so I'm going to assume everybody is at par. So, Delphine, I'd like to thank you for finding the time to present to us. We have learned a lot. So, for the people who do not have any basics in AI, at least now, when you ask by another person, at least you can define and you have seen the benefits and the products you can create with AI. So, as you continue learning, now you know what you're aiming for. It's not going to be an easy journey, but at least now you know what you're going to be aiming for, so that in the end, the skills you have, you can create something that is going to be meaningful. And then one last thing, to the people who are scared about AI taking our jobs, I think now you know what to do. So in every sector that you are in, AI can help to make you better. So there was this YouTuber I was watching recently. They did a test. There was an artist and the YouTuber. They did a test that they used DALI. This is OpenAI's AI for generating images. So the artist and the YouTuber, they tried to generate art. So the YouTuber who did not know anything about art, she generated art that at least it looked good, but when the artist generated the AI, the art, it was much better. So for the YouTuber, it gave her the skill to create art, but the artist, for him, it gave him a superpower. So it made him much better. So thank you guys for attending. Yeah, maybe we can end it there.
Yeah, I will share the slide with Eric for people who just want to go through it, and I'm always reachable. Yeah. Bye.
Bye bye. Have a good night.